Hello. It's with some trepidation that I've decided to talk today about mental health. So before I start, I must say that I am in no way a professional on this topic. I'm going to basically look at two different things, consumerism and school education, and hopefully show how these different topics are actually similar in that they may be the causes of mental health issues. Now, we see mental health issues more and more on the news and in our daily lives, at work, at school, wherever. And it's true that more people nowadays admit to suffering from mental health problems because it has less of a stigma attached to it now than it did in the past, when you were likely to be locked away. I say less stigma because clearly there are still many people who do not seek help and see mental health problems as a sign of weakness, that they need to man up or grow up, get a life, pull themselves together, get a grip, that sort of phrase. So my aim is to show how pressure to conform through consumerism and school education has led to a more stressful life, and stress, of course, is a leading cause of mental health problems. My interest in this started when my wife noted that for her parents, and particularly her grandparents, for whom life was a daily struggle during and after the war, there were no, or at least few, mental health problems. Her conclusion was that a hard life made you thankful for every day, and there was no time to think about your mental health and the things that might make you depressed. On the surface, that seemed like a reasonable point. Research does show that there are more mental health problems now than there were in the 1930s and 40s, and it's been going up ever since then. So what's changed? Consumerism and school education. Nowadays we have a vast array of consumer goods that are supposed to make us happy, but actually don't. Look at the typical TV advertisement for a car. You see a driver on the open road enjoying his drive, or a young lady and her friend driving through town to meet friends or go shopping. In both cases, the roads are virtually empty, no traffic jams, plenty of places to park, no stress at all. The driving's a joy. The reality is, of course, completely different. Jammed roads, nose-to-tail traffic moving at a snail's pace through town, or perhaps stuck behind a caravan or tractor on the open road. Driving is almost never the pleasure that it's made out to be on TV adverts. It can be incredibly stressful. Our increased consumerism, buying stuff that is supposed to make us happier, like cars, seems to consume so many people's free time, and the rest of the time is spent trying to earn money to buy those things. Now, the things people buy don't make them any happier after that initial thrill has worn off. In fact, the opposite in some cases, known as buyer's remorse. But there must be more to the mental health problem than consumerism, surely. Well, last week on the BBC News, there was an item about mental health in schools. The reporter was saying how mental health is tracked and tackled quite well in secondary schools in the UK, so from the age of 11, but not so in primary schools, so 5 to 11 years. And he was saying that if tackled early, the effects of mental health issues can be managed much better, hence early intervention is better. And that begged the question, why is there not more emphasis put on mental health at primary school age? Now, my first reaction to this news item was something like, well, if school was a less stressful place, with less emphasis on reaching predefined learning objectives for school inspections and league tables, the kids would be much more relaxed, much less stressed. And I still stand by my first reaction. School teachers are under immense pressure to meet attainment targets for their pupils, or the school is considered not good enough. And teachers inevitably need to put pressure on the children to do better, to work harder. That pressure leads to stress, leads to potentially mental health issues. Kids start to compare themselves against other kids in the class. One child is not as good as another. One is much better than a few of the others. Those either at the top or the bottom end of the class might then become the victim of bullying because they're different. What's the result of that? Mental health issues. Like I said at the start, we have this pressure to conform. Now, I think these two quite different points about consumerism and school education are similar in that they are examples of this pressure to conform. I'll explain why. Both examples involve pressure from society about what is normal, what is the accepted way to behave. Shopping is possibly the most popular free time activity, with many people spending money that even they don't actually have. It goes on credit. People nowadays seem to be valued by society by the amount of things that they have bought, the amount of stuff that they can show off. To have more stuff than another person is a sign of success, like a higher ranking in society. Likewise, schools are now compared to each other in league tables that tell us which have the brightest pupils, or at least the pupils that have the best scores in whichever test is being administered in that year. So pressure to buy things to make us look better, pressure to do better in school tests. It's all pressure to conform. As Reverend and the Makers sang in their song Heavyweight Champion of the World, just be like everybody else. And these 2 points create a third pressure. Society demands that everyone works hard to pay for all these things that will supposedly make us happy and give our children the best start in life. So we see parents, that's both parents, working long hours in an attempt to buy more things to lavish on themselves and their children. But what do kids really want? They might think they want the best smartphones, the latest games console, and branded clothing. But that's just because their mates have those things. I'd say that kids are really fairly simple creatures. All they really need is time. Time to spend with parents and friends, time to run around outside, time to play, time to make mistakes, be naughty, do things that seem a little strange or funny to parents, but just time to grow up at their own speed, doing stuff that is stress-free. At the moment you tell a child to read at least 3 pages of a book 3 times a week, that's the moment the kid is likely to think, I don't like reading. When you remove that pressure from the child, he or she might pick up the book and read because they realise they enjoy reading. So the causes of mental health are many. Have a look, for example, at the Mind charity website for a fairly comprehensive list. But these causes, I think, in many cases are symptoms of a wider problem of what happens when people do not or cannot conform to society's expectations. And if mental health is to be tackled in a good way, the solution lies in society and how it judges people, not so much in treating the symptoms. Thank you.